Welcome to Beyond Mindset Limits with Tisha Marie Cain. Here, we explore how unlocking your mindset can pave the way for unlimited success. Discover how to create opportunities through legal challenges and transform your business and life with effective public relations strategies. Get ready to elevate your journey and maximize your potential. Now, let's welcome your host, Tisha Marie Cain.
Welcome back to Beyond Mindset Limits, where we go beyond surface level thinking and into real transformation, the kind that changes your life, your business, and who you want to become. I am your host, Tisha Marie Cain. I'm an executive counsel, radio show host, expert mediator, and communicator. I'm a breakthrough mindset coach. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm a 7 times #1 best-selling international author and artist. And I'm recognized for my work with Fortune 500 executives, visionary leaders, and high-performing entrepreneurs, guiding them to unlock influence, align with purpose, and create lasting impact. I have a unique blend of legal expertise, leadership strategy, and transformational coaching. I help individuals and organizations alike rewire their subconscious mind, release the emotional weight, and elevate their relationship with money, power, and self-worth. And I am so glad you're here today because we've got a good one. This show today is called The Life You Tolerate. What if the biggest thing standing between you and the life you say you want isn't other people, but it's what you keep tolerating? Because your preferences describe your life that you want, but what your tolerances reveal is the life that you're actually living. And I've done some deep dive into this the last couple of weeks because I wanted to bring I want to bring some good material to you. I want to bring the energy, and I'm here to educate. I'm a preacher. I'm a teacher. I'm all the things. If you didn't know from my introduction, I do everything well. And a lot of that is because I had middle child syndrome growing up and I was never seen and heard. So I had to do all the things to do that. So it's actually perfect. But I want to start today off with, if nothing changes, then nothing changes, right? And I want to have a conversation that might make some people uncomfortable. And that's okay, because sometimes discomfort is information. Sometimes the thing that makes you angry or the thing that makes you irritated or defensive or emotionally upset is touching something you already know you haven't been comfortable with. Right. And so like every time I see, okay, I'm angry about that, I'm very introspective. I go within and I'm like, okay, what is it? What's irritating me? And I take a deeper dive into what's beneath that and what's underneath that. So today I want to talk about, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. It sounds ridiculously simple, and it is. But think about how many of us want a different outcome while repeating the same behavior. We want a different relationship, but we choose the same person over and over again. We want financial stability, but we maintain those same financial habits. We want a different career, but we never apply for another position. We want a new business, but we never ever launch it. Or we want visibility, but then we're refused to be seen, right? I've even seen my clients, they want a different body, but they refuse to change their routines, right? If nothing changes, then nothing changes. At some point, desire has to become a decision, and decision has to become behavior. And what was really interesting last night is I'm going to bring you guys into a little bit of my life. Last night, my family and I were sitting around the supper table and we were getting ready to finish up. And we put a little chat into ChatGPT. We gave ChatGPT a command. And we said, okay, I want you to list out something, create a warning for someone who is going to meet me for the first time. And what I got out of there was related to this show today, is what we tolerate, right? And I'm just going to read a couple of little segments from it. It said, Tisha Marie Cain is not particularly interested in small talk or excuses or watered down dreams or conversations about everything you could do someday. She will probably ask you what you actually want. And then she may ask why you haven't done it yet. And I thought, oh my gosh, I like to challenge. I love to challenge, right? And it said it even put some side effects of prolonged exposure when you're swimming in Tisha Marie Cain's energy, right? I just laugh because it's so funny. So it said, suddenly you're going to start questioning your beliefs that you've carried for 20 years. You're going to start raising your standards. You're going to start setting boundaries. You're going to make the phone call. You're going to start the business. You're going to write the book. You're going to leave what no longer fits. And you're going to realize your comfort zone has been charging you rent, becoming inconveniently aware of your own potential. And it said that she, mean me, values loyalty and integrity, accountability, action, freedom, transformation, and legacy. And she will celebrate you loudly and she will challenge you directly. She will protect the people that she loves fiercely. And she has little interest in helping you decorate a cage where, where you have built it for yourself. You are absolutely allowed to disagree with her, but bring evidence because she loves evidence. And so I'll stop right there. That's what ChatGPT says. And I was like, oh, yeah, that is exactly who I am. I'm challenging belief systems. I'm here because I want to go beyond the surface level thinking. Why do you think the way that you think? Why are you tolerating the life that you're living when you say that you hate the life that you live? Why do you keep tolerating that? And I want to start with one nugget. Your wish list is not your standard. Let's start with something almost everyone has, a list, right? Maybe you've written down the qualities you want in a partner: honesty, emotional availability, financial responsibility. You want someone who's kind. You want someone who's funny and successful. You want someone who's a good leader, who's flexible, right? All the things. So you start with this list, but it's a preference. It's not a standard. A preference says, I really like this. But a standard says, I'm going to make decisions consistent with this every single time. Those are very different things. And I want to make that clear. You can say you want honesty in a relationship, but if you repeatedly remain with people who lie to you, honesty isn't functioning as a standard, it's functioning as a preference, right? That's why I'm like, okay, I have a small group of friends. I have a lot of friends, but like close friends, but the standard is me. You got to be driving your business. You got to have a great mindset. You got to be working your mind, your body, your spirit. You got to be doing the Holy Trinity, or you don't come into my inner circle, the circle of trust, right? And knowing my standards and really just being like hardcore on this is what I will expect out of the people who are surrounding themselves with me. And if you're not meeting that, sorry, but not sorry, right? Your life is often a more accurate record of your standards than your words are, right? I want to tell you that again. Your life is often a more accurate record of your standards than your words are. Don't tell me you only want what you want. Look at what you repeatedly accept. Look at what you repeatedly choose. Look at what you repeatedly return to. I had a client just yesterday. She goes, okay, I want to get fit. And I've been trying to get this little workout routine. And basically what I've been trying to do is like 45 minutes a day. I've been trying to just get a workout routine, right? That's not her standard. That's her preference. And I'm like, okay, you're trying. You're only a decision away. It's just a decision. And that blew her mind wide open. I said, it's just a decision, right? You can decide from this day forward that you're going to take full exclusive control over your body and you're going to do everything healthy to maintain a healthy body and release the weight that you've been wanting to release. And she was like, oh my gosh, mind blowing, right? I want to ask you a question, right? Ask yourself, what is something I keep saying I want that my current behavior does not support? And don't answer it quickly. Sit with it. What is something I keep saying that I want, but my current behavior does not support that? Because sometimes the gap between your desired life and your current life isn't a lack of knowledge. Sometimes it's a lack of congruence, right? Getting really congruent. That's why they say Julia Cannon has the Artist Way book. And she says, in the morning, do 3-page mind dump and just write it down. But later on in the book, she says, there's something cathartic about putting pen to paper and you make that list. And these are the things, these are my standards, not preferences. This isn't the standard in my life that I will follow, right? If you are a grumpy person and you have a negative mindset, man, we're not going to get along. We are not going to resonate. We're going to repel. It's going to be duality at its best, right? So write the list down, get the standard going for your life. What you tolerate will show up, right? So let's talk about familiarity, right? Why do we keep going back? And that's because of familiarity. Because I think that's where people can become incredibly hard on themselves. Someone would say, oh man, I knew better. Why did I go back? And trust me, there is no judgment on this radio show today because, man, I had some crummy, rotten values in the past and I came correct, right? Because I know Tisha 5.0 is coming up here next week that I want to come correct. I want to purify my heart and purify my mind and purify my spirit. And when I do those things, I have access. It is like the door to more, right? So I'm not judging you, but I want you to ask yourself, why do you keep going back? Why did I choose another person just like the last person? Why am I still at this job? Why am I still living this way? And the answer, the answer is simple. And sometimes I can be a bit flippant because I'm like, this is so simple. I guess it is for me. But for being familiar with your past is where safety lives, right? And Tony Robbins teaches certainty as one of his 6 human needs, right? I learned this back, I think I was like 17 years old, and I learned this about Tony Robbins, and I learned about these 6 basic needs. This was before I knew that I loved the study of human behavior, and I knew that I was magnetic to Tony, and I knew every time I swam in his energy, I just felt good. I just felt better, So I memorized the 6 basic needs, and certainty is one of them. The desire to avoid pain and experience some predictability or comfort. His model also includes variety, significance, love and connection, growth, and then contribution. Those 6 basic needs, people will fulfill the 6 basic needs and forgo their dreams just to make sure that their basic needs are met. And certainty is along the lines of familiarity. And here's where that becomes fascinating. Something does not have to be good for it to be familiar to you, right? It doesn't have to be good for it to be familiar to you. Something doesn't have to be healthy to feel familiar. Chaos can feel familiar. Emotional unavailability can feel familiar, right? For the longest time, I had an unregulated nervous system. And when I got regulated, I was like, this is interesting. I have a regulated nervous system. I've never felt this way before. And it was unfamiliar, right? Being broke can be familiar. I just had a client call, and we're going to do a divorce for her. She's so excited about this divorce. And I'm like cheerleading her on and really excited about this divorce. And I sent her over my contract and said, yeah, I'll be able to help you. No worries. And I sent her the contract, and I accidentally included the wrong attachment for someone else doing another project. And she called me quickly and she goes, oh my gosh, is it really going to be that much? I said, oh, what do you mean? And she tells me, and I said, oh, no, that's not accurate. I must have made a mistake, and I apologize. Please forgive me. And she goes, I am a poor woman. I could not have even afford that. And I'm like, you know what? I said, I know you found me through my radio show, And let me just help you right here. There's some free advice. You're not poor. You're wealthy in a lot of ways, right? And the moment you start changing your language, you're going to start changing your life. So from this day on, I don't want you to say that you're poor ever again. And she goes, "You're right," and starts laughing, but that was right before the radio show. So she was tolerating the story in her mind that she was poor. Heck no. I will not tolerate being poor. I won't even, that is not even like my family. We don't have a plan B when something falls through. We have plan A, and then we have plan to get back up. That's it. We have plan A, and we're going hard in the direction of our dreams and our goals. And yes, it stems from being a high performer, but I know what I see and how my reality all comes together when I constantly live towards those 6 basic needs that Tony talks about, right? So now imagine that life presents you with something radically different, right? So all of a sudden your life is showing you peace and what healthy love looks like. And there's reciprocity, right? A bigger opportunity, more money, visibility, a new city, right? And someone actually starts treating you well. Yes, that's what I've been asking for, and it finally comes. But sometimes it isn't. Sometimes your reaction is, "Whoa, I don't know this." And the human beings often confuse "I don't know this" with "this isn't safe." And that is an important distinction, right? Have no fear. Go into it. Just because you don't know it doesn't mean that it's unsafe. That's the hard truth. Just go towards the direction of your goals. And it's so freaking, in the personal growth and development space, go in the direction of your dreams, and it will all come out and fall in your lap. It's so cliche, but really, when you start breaking this stuff down, it really is that simple. If nothing changes, then nothing changes. What are you changing today to start living by your standards and not your preferences? Sometimes we keep choosing yesterday because at least we know how yesterday went, right? We know the script, we know the characters, we know when the argument is coming, we know how discomfort feels, we know how to survive it. But your desired life, you haven't lived there yet. And that's scary. You don't know exactly what you're going to become once you start living there. And I had that as a truth for myself too. I'm like, okay, I know what I want. I made a list of my perfect man. And I knew my husband had to meet every checklist, right? I had to check off every box on my checklist where I was not getting married. And he did. I had the checklist. And so I met him and we dated and I looked at the checklist and holy moly, he had checked off everything on that checklist. So I said, we could get married, right? So you know where everything is, you know what to do. And some people will still stay inside an unlocked cage because they are mesmerized by the cage. And that's harsh, but it's real, right? People put themselves into their own prisons. And I'm guilty of that too in the past. I've built walls around me so thick, so deep, right? I kept putting myself in boxes and systems. And then I thought, certainty had become a trap for me, right? Tony Robbins' owner's manual warns that the desire for certainty and comfort can trap people in fear-based patterns. And I want to separate two things here. Healthy certainty, like I know my values, I trust myself, I have healthy routines, I know how I want to be treated, I believe I'm going to figure things out. That's healthy certainty. And unhealthy certainty is, I'll stay here because at least I know what's going to happen next. Those are not the same thing. One builds a foundation, the other one builds a cage. And this show is meant to liberate you. This show is meant to think beyond mindset limits. in the public school system, and that's no dig, but that's what I say. Like, they're just creating regurgitate the material. That's exactly what they did to me in law school. Regurgitate the elements of the crime. Can you digest homicide? What is it? First degree murder, second degree murder with depraved heart, voluntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter. Can, like, regurgitating this elements of the crime in law school. And then I figured it out. I was like, this is not another indoctrination camp. Yes, I can learn it all quickly. And in the public school system, it's all indoctrination too, like regurgitate the elements of these books or history or whatever, right? But it's thinking beyond that and having a critical mind to think beyond that, to really call in what your standards are. Okay, thank you for teaching me. Now I know how to write well and do arithmetic and study, an encyclopedia, and I'm going to go at it from here, right? It's the indoctrination that I hate, that you think that you have certainty in those, and you just go because that's that unhealthy certainty. So stop confusing history with destiny. This is a big one, right? It really is a big one. Just because something has always been true doesn't mean that it's going to remain true. Maybe you've made six figures and that's history. That's not prophecy. Maybe every relationship that you ever had has failed. That's history, but that's not prophecy. Maybe nobody in your family owns a business and that's history, but that's not prophecy. Maybe you've been overweight for 20 years. I don't know. Maybe, and then you think, well, my whole family is overweight. Well, you're not condemned to that, right? You're not condemned. It's not an automatically tell me the next 10 years has to look like because of history. At some point, we have to stop using the past as evidence against our future. And I was guilty as charged on that. I was like, okay, my mom only lived to be 44. I'm never going to live past 44. And somehow I had this limiting belief that I too was going to pass away before 44. And look at me now. Look at me now, God. I'm just like humming along, having the best time of my life over here, because finally I was able to shift out of that belief system. Right? Another nugget is I'm too old. Let's deal with that one, because people use age as a beautiful little hiding place. I'm just too old to start over. Are you kidding me? Have you ever heard the story of what's her name? Louise Hayes. Have you ever heard of Louise Hayes' story? Amazing woman. She's out of the LA basin too. We're gonna talk and go deep into her story too, but people use age as a hiding place. I'm just too old. I can't be doing that. I can't walk that far. According to whom? I'm too old to date again. Who decided that? Right? So it's like looking at those limiting beliefs and breaking open the doors to see what you're going to tolerate. Am I going to tolerate these old stories? Am I going to tolerate these old belief patterns? Am I going to tolerate that? Or am I going to finally step up and claim my life for what I want and what I desire and what my standards are? Am I going to do that? Or am I just going to be, humming along with the breeze? Wherever the breeze flows, I get to go. So let's stop right there. I want to talk about Louise Hayes when we come back. We're going to take a few moments to go to break. So listen to our sponsors and we'll come right back. Thanks, guys.
Did you know that most people spend thousands more than they need to on legal services, simply because they do not know they have options? The truth is, the right legal support can save you time, money, and unnecessary stress. At Cain's Legal Support, we have spent over 22 years helping individuals and families navigate the legal system with confidence, without the overwhelm and without the inflated costs. Whether you are facing a divorce, custody battles, landlord-tenant issues, civil or criminal matters, or even small claims, we are here to guide you every step of the way. We specialize in document preparation, private mediation, and personalized legal support, giving you the tools you need to move forward with clarity and control. And we do not stop there. From notary services to wedding officiating, Cain's Legal Support is your full-service legal concierge, because your life does not fit in a box, and your legal support should not either. If you are ready for legal guidance that actually works for you, visit CainsLegalSupport.com today. Justice for all, give us a call. That is CainsLegalSupport.com.
Have you ever wondered why you can know exactly what to do and still feel like something inside keeps pulling you back? You tell yourself, I'm done being angry. I'm done carrying sadness. I'm done feeling fear, guilt, shame, or not good enough. But no matter how strong, successful, or self-aware you are, the pattern keeps showing up. That is because most people are trying to change their life from the surface, when the real programming lives in the subconscious mind. Meet Tisha Marie Cain, clinical hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and founder of Beyond Mindset Limits. Tisha helps people go directly to the root cause of the emotional patterns and limiting beliefs that have been running their lives behind the scenes. Hypnotherapy is not magic. It is not mind control. It is focused subconscious work that allows clients to bypass the noise, access the root, and begin transforming the belief where it was first created. Anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame. Not good enough, not safe, not worthy, not lovable. These are not just emotions. They are often protective programs the mind created long ago. Through her 90-minute hypnotherapy sessions, Tisha guides clients into the subconscious mind to release what no longer belongs to them and begin installing a new way of thinking, feeling, and becoming. For many of her clients, one session creates a breakthrough they have been chasing for years. If you are ready to stop managing the pattern and finally transform it at the subconscious level, this is your invitation. Book your 90-minute hypnotherapy session with Tisha Marie Cain at Beyond Mindset Limits. Sessions are available in office, on Zoom, or by private appointment. Because healing does not have to take forever. Sometimes you just need the right access point. Beyond Mindset Limits. Go to the root, release the limits, become the version of you that was always waiting underneath.
And we are back with Beyond Mindset Limits. I am your host, Miss Tisha Marie Cain. You can find me on all platforms, okay? Go to all of them. They're there. You can find me on my website. You can schedule a hypnotherapy appointment with me. I love hypnotherapy. I love hypnotherapy so much because it's quick. It's the cheat code. And I'm not really a cheater, but when you're on a path to healing and you're on a path to reckoning and you're on a path to no longer tolerating a life that you thought you were condemned to, hypnotherapy will get you there quick. It's looking out the windshield of your life and not the rear view mirror. So I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I love this work. I do this work. I love it when the lights turn on in someone's eyes and they finally say, oh, I get to change. I get to choose something different. Yeah, let's freaking go. And it's normally like day one after the hypnotherapy. I'm like, okay, this is day one of carving back the life that you want, right? So I just cheerlead at the highest level, like I'm supporting you, like I'm like lifting you up. I'm like so excited. Let's build the business and get the body of you want and get all the things that you've always desired, because you can have that and you're not too old. We were talking about that right before the break. You are not too old. And one person that I look up to is a mentor. Now, she didn't mentor me personally. However, I watch all of her little YouTube videos. I read all of her little books. And that was Louise Hay. And she opened Hay House Publishing. And I have my own publishing house too. But she was amazing. She published like the top people. She published like 130 authors, from Deepak Chopra to Wayne Dyer to Esther Hicks. And this lady was so amazing. Now, I don't know about her private life or if there was anything weird going on or anything like that. I just know the front facing on how she's such an inspiration. I think at 86, she decided to open up Hay House Publishing, and she just did this simplistic art. You can pull up her art. And then she's like, well, I'm going to sell these prints. And so she opened up a little art gallery in LA. And don't quote me on this. It's not like perfect. Okay. But this is what I remember from, my files in my brain. She had opened up a little art gallery in Los Angeles, and she goes, I'm just going to be selling these little prints. And they were like a little sunshine. And the quote was like, if you see someone without a smile, give them yours, or something like that, or be the sunshine in someone's life, right? It was very cute, simplistic quotes. She did that at 86. Well, come to find out, she opened this little art gallery studio, and she had people sign up to come for 2 weeks straight. It was sold out every day for 2 weeks. That the art gallery lasted for like 8 months. And at like 86, she made billions of dollars. So it's never too late to get started. And you're not too old. So if you're telling yourself, oh, I'm 68 right now and I can't be starting something, oh my gosh, I would invite you to go over and put on Michael Jackson and say, we got to be starting something. We got to be starting something, right? I just party over here by myself all the time. So this is where it gets to be so fun, I think my family, I don't know if my family laughs more at me or if I laugh more at myself, because this really is just a game, right? This life that we're living is just a game. And I will not tolerate not meeting my this is how I'm so crystal clear on what I will tolerate and what I will not tolerate. And I will not deviate from that 1 minute. And let me give you an example into my personal life, right? So I don't know if I mentioned this before, but you're going to get it again. So I go to See's Candy once a month, or not me, my husband does, just let's be real, and goes to See's Candy. Well, I was finding that I wasn't eating like 6 pieces of the nuts and chews. And the 6 pieces I just didn't enjoy. I'm like, I hate those. I'm never going to eat those. So my husband tells the lady at See's Candy that my wife doesn't eat those 6 chocolates. And the lady says, well, they're almost like $2 a chocolate. So you may, consider, just doing your own box, like doing a creative box or a specialty box just for your wife. Is there some favorites that she likes? And he goes, yeah, she likes these particular 3 ones. He goes, let's just do a box, let's do 2 1-pound boxes of these See's candies, because I need 1 for upstairs and 1 for downstairs. It's so funny. The local See's Candy, they know my family by the upstairs downstairs box. We walk into See's Candy and they're like, oh, there's the upstairs downstairs box family. It's so funny. But I will not tolerate putting my hand into the chocolate and getting something I don't like. And I was explaining that to my son, and I said, you know what? There was this film back in the day. Actually, I'm going to have my little son watch it, because I think it's really good and it illustrates this point. And it was called Forrest Gump. And one of the major lines from that film was, life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. And I was actually irritated with that. And I had to sit with myself, and I prayed, right? And praying is talking to God. And then I meditated, and then I listened. Prayer is talking, meditation is listening. And so I prayed, and then I listened. I'm like, God, okay, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to go. I'm like, that is so irritating, because sometimes I feel that way. But how can I design a life where what Tony Robbins talks about is certainty? How can I design a life that I want, that I know every single time that I reach into that box of See's Candy, it's going to be my favorite chocolate? And I was sharing this with my son just today. And I'm like, I have designed a life that I know every time I go to my box of chocolate, it's going to be one that I like. So don't let these old cliches shape your life. Don't tolerate that. Ask good quality questions, right? Like, hey, is there something else we can do here? What I've found is the more questions that you ask, the more people really want to help you. Right. And sometimes if I just act dumb, I'm like, okay, I don't understand why I hate these 6 chocolates, but if there's anything I could do, anything you could do, I'll take full responsibility. And they're like, oh my gosh, let me just tell you if you buy this or whatever, right? They'll find different results and pathways for you to start living what you really want to live and what you really desire and what your standard gets to be. So it gets to be so fun, but you have to be so aware and so intentional with your goals and your dreams. What do you want? Write it down. And then every decision that you make must be towards that goal, right? So, okay, if I have a goal to release 20 pounds by the end of the year, I'm not going to be eating my C's candy, which totally sucks. So that's not my personal goal, of course, but maybe somebody's goal, right? If your goal is to release 20 pounds and get healthier than you've ever been, then the next step is make sure you're watching what goes in your mouth, right? Make sure you're counting your calories or doing keto or, all the diets out there. I think one of my shows is going to be your relationship with food, right? That's a good one. But we're living in a period of extraordinary access. And I want to talk about this significant opportunity we have right now, not fantasy, but opportunity. Today, you're going to learn skills from your phone. You can build an audience without owning a television station. And in fact, no one's buying televisions. And in 2020, I actually petitioned my neighbors to see if we could all throw our televisions out in the gutter. And it was a 50-50 split. So I was like, okay, we're never turning on our television. Again, we're not doing that. And what was remarkable was 50% of the neighbors said that they would do it if I did it first. And I didn't do it, but it was interesting to do the survey and the little study. So you can publish without waiting for someone to hand you permission. Right? You can hire us. We'll get you published. And gosh, the last book we did, I got someone published in 5 days. 5 days. And what was crazy is they had been holding on to their story for 20 freaking years. This story, I got to get my book out. I got to get my book out. I got to get my book out. Until finally they're like, okay, Tisha Marie Cain is a girl of action. I know she's going to help me. She's going to be able to get this done. I'm going to hire her. I'm going to get it done. In 5 days, the book was published, right? So no one has to hand you permission. You just get to decide. You can create content. You can build intellectual property. You can start consulting. You can teach. You can coach. You can sell products. I bought so much products now for my hair, for my face, because I bought them from people that I trust and love and know. You can learn artificial intelligence. Learn it, right? I dove into... I said, I want to learn a little bit about cryptocurrency because I am not a scholar on this at all. I just heard the buzzwords about currency and I know all the stuff about fiat currency. So I'm like, I'm going to start educating myself a little bit because we're out of school, right? There's no more school. And if you want to learn, you got to learn on your own. And thank God for YouTube School and all these other coaches and entrepreneurs that are willing to help you, right? And so you think about what matters to you and really understanding what matters to you. Your phone may contain access to information and tools and people and markets that your grandparents couldn't even ever imagine. And here's the catch. Access is not action. Technology doesn't eliminate courage. AI cannot make that scary phone call from your soul. Instagram cannot decide that you're finally going to stop hiding. A podcast can't force you to apply, and a coach can't want your future more than you do, right? When I started the coaching space, what was it, like 9 years ago? I wanted to save people from their suffering. And this is, I've done a deep dive into this as well, where typically coaches who start their coaching business, they see all the suffering in the world and they just want to go out and save people until they have a reckoning. And then they realize, oh, yeah, that's not my job. My job is not to save you from your suffering, because it's in those trenches of the grief and the heartbreak and the headache and the depression that the golden nuggets arise, and you get to be the phoenix rising from the ashes. right? And so I wanted to save people for a long, long time. And now I don't save anyone. I just wait and say, hey, if you're at my door, I know you need my help. So come on in, right? Or before I would go out looking. Now I don't. I'm just like, okay, when you're ready, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? The hard truth break, right? I'm going to say something that might make someone mad. You can spend thousands of dollars on coaching and still refuse to be coached. You can attend seminars. You can stay exactly the same. You can highlight every damn page on a personal development book and never implement one paragraph. You can listen to motivational videos every morning and still spend the rest of your day avoiding the action that would actually change your life. And at some point, information becomes another hiding place. You're not always looking for the next answer. Sometimes you're looking for another reason not to execute the answer you already have. Ouch. And I know that stings and that hurts. But we're talking about the life you tolerate today. So we're not playing small anymore, unless you want to, right? Here's another nugget. Knowledge is not transformation. Right? And this fascinates me. It fascinates me because I love knowledge. I think wisdom and education education and experience equals wisdom. So I love knowledge. I have all the books, right? People will say, I know I shouldn't do that. I know I deserve better. You guys ever hear this? I know I deserve better. I know I need to leave her. I know I need to leave him. I know I should apply for a new job. I know I need to start. I know. Okay. But knowing is not transformation. Knowing is information. Transformation requires behavior. And that's what I used to say a long time ago is healing is in the doing. What are you doing to heal? Right? It's in the doing. What are you doing? That's why I have a little bit of a frustration with these vision boards. I am done making vision boards. I make action boards, right? What action am I going to take today towards my desire? What is that one action I'm going to take today? Right? I already know. Because your life doesn't change when you know something intellectually. Your life changes when you embody your truth. There's knowing your boundaries, and then there's setting ones. There's knowing your worth, and that's where your behavior comes in to really believe what you are worth, right? It's up to you to charge what you're worth. I charge what I'm worth. Yeah, my prices are aligned, right? When you come to me, you get total transformation. What would that be worth to you? I ask. Right? Someone told me last week, you're expensive. And I said, great, compared to what? And they said, well, I'm not quite sure. And I'm like, well, if I can radically transform your whole entire life, what would that be worth to you? And she said, you got a point. Let me talk to my husband and I'll call you back. And I'm like, do you normally consult with your husband when you make financial decisions? And she said, no. And I said, well, why would you do this? Why would you do it on this? Like, what are you doing? You're hesitating. You really don't want change because you want to live and you want to hide in that familiarity, right? So I don't know if you guys can hear it, but you should feel the passion in my soul, in my voice. Like I am done. I do not tolerate lazy, overweight, unproductive, all the things. I don't tolerate that. It's like we are at some crucial times in our life right now. And I know because I've spend every day trying to purify my mind and my body and my soul, I know the quickening is happening. You can manifest, you can get the things you want and desire very, very quickly, now more than ever. And now is not the time to wait. Now is the time to act, right? People pleasing too can cost you your own life. I used to be a people pleaser, and then I'm like, not anymore. So let's talk about that. Another tolerance pattern, living around everyone else's needs, Mel Robbins, she has spoken extensively about people pleasing, and that way constantly putting other people like before you or putting them first can drain your time, can drain your energy. It can take away from your own priorities. Her work always emphasizes learning to say no and prioritizing what matters to you most, stepping out of that exhausting cycle and trying to manage everyone else. I'm like, okay, I cannot control how everyone else is feeling, but all I control right now is how do I feel? Is this towards my goals? Am I doing something right now towards my goals or am I not? I'm not tolerating this anymore, right? How much of your life have you spent managing others' reactions? That was me for a while, and that's why I talk about it. I talk about it. You don't apply because somebody might think that you're getting above yourself, right? You don't apply for that job. You don't leave because someone might be disappointed. You don't say no because, oh, they're going to be angry. I don't even say, you know how we're indoctrinated to say, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Even this happened to me yesterday. I'm traveling down the grocery market. I was in what aisle was that? We were getting some potato chips, in the potato chips, and someone went down the aisle and she goes, oh, sorry. And I'm like, oh, no, there's nothing to be sorry. We're so like indoctrinated to say sorry. There was nothing that she had done wrong. There was nothing that I had done wrong. And she wasn't even using the correct language. She should have said, excuse me. Right. So I teach people to say, instead of I'm sorry, because that just falls off so quickly, what about, oh, please forgive me. I made a mistake. Right. Because the automatic subconscious response to please forgive me is everyone says, oh, yeah, no worries. And it softens their heart versus when you say I'm sorry, then it's that immediate like, oh, yeah, it's going to fall off. You didn't really mean that. You're just saying sorry because everybody says sorry. But if I say, oh, so, or I say, oh, please forgive me, they'll look at me and go, oh, yeah, no problem, no problem. Right. So coming correct on our words to really understand what it is we want, right? Let them have the problem. Don't people please on them. You have a life to build. And the moment you start building everybody else's life, your life gets thrown in the water. I'm very conscious where I want to go. Like I'm the family manager, right? My husband, my son, we have family meetings every week. Okay, what are we wanting to accomplish this week? Where do we want to go? What are our fitness goals? What are our financial goals? What are our mental goals? All the things. And we sit down and orchestrate the life for the week and get really clear on what is it we want and go towards that. So I hope that this lands. I hope that I'm just not talking at you because I know you guys are like centered around, listening here and getting nuggets from me and I'm giving all the cheat codes to you if you want them. It's really like, do you want to decide to have the best life that you can have, or do you want to just, give your life to fate, right? So I did have some listeners write in for this show, which is great. We had so let me go to these questions. They're pretty awesome. I just reviewed a couple of them. We got Monica from Barstow, and she goes, I know I deserve better in my relationship, but every time I think about leaving, I get scared and then I end up alone. And that either I'll end up alone or I'll be alone for the rest of my life. How do I know if I'm staying because I love him or because I'm afraid? Oh, Monica, I know. I love this. And thank you for writing in. Thank you guys. You guys can write in. My email is tishamariekane@gmail.com. Take my name, tishamariekane@gmail.com. Write in for the next show if you guys want to get your questions here on the show. So Monica, yeah, let me see. It's really an important question. So I want you to ask yourself this. If you knew with absolute certainty that you would eventually meet someone healthy, someone loving, and aligned with who your soul knows you to be, would you still choose that relationship? Right? That answer may tell you a lot. Sometimes we call something love when what we're really experiencing is attachment or history or familiarity or fear or standing or starting over, right? And being alone can feel scary. And I understand that. But there is another kind of loneliness people don't talk about enough. The loneliness of being in a relationship where you're unseen, where you're unheard, or constantly abandoning yourself just because you keep people pleasing the other person in the relationship. Don't make your decision based solely on whether someone else will come along. The deeper question here is this relationship healthy enough for a woman, for the woman that I'm becoming, right? Look out into the future. Do you see him there with you? I mean, it's really simple. It really is that simple. You're not required to know what comes next before acknowledging what is no longer working now. And that is a big piece. I was reading the Las Vegas Journal, Monica, last week, and they have those articles like Dear Abby. And the article was, I was so irritated with the response. It was something like, I'm getting a divorce. What kind of advice would you give me? And the Dear Abby, which isn't Dear Abby, by the way, which it was funny because my whole life I thought it was like Abby. I'm like, how old is this Abby lady? And then I read the fine print because that's what I do. And the fine print said it was like so-and-so writing for Dear Abby. And Dear Abby said, brace yourself for financial ruin. And I got so mad and I threw that newspaper across the counter. And I told my husband, this is the worst article I've ever read in American history. And I canceled my little subscription because I'm like, I'm not even dealing. I need to write for Dear Abby because I believe that I give sound advice, because I point the direction and the decisions and the questions back to who you are inside. There is no one outside of you. There is nothing outside of you that you need to check, double check. Sit with yourself. This is why it's so very, very important to purify your heart, your mind, and your spirit, right? And I do, and I'm not 100% at this. I would probably give myself a score of probably 80%, but that 20%, oh man, I like to hide in that 20%. It's hard, right? We even went to the movie the other day and I saw a clip for a movie coming out and I instantly dropped into the negative and I said, that reminds me of someone I know. And I thought, oh no. And I sat there in prayer. Okay, God, purify my heart and my mind, because I should not be going into the low density energies. And then I was able to release that, right? So looking at that space in your heart, you know what's best for you. There's probably so many red flags, Monica, on the onset of this relationship that you ignored. And I want to tell you right now, just because you ignored those red flags doesn't mean they go away. I am your host, Tisha Marie Cain. I hope you love this show. It's about the life that you tolerate. What you tolerate, if nothing happens, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. I hope you go out and seize the day and you get everything that this life has coming to you, because I am, and I wish that for you too. Until next week, you guys, this is Tisha Marie Cain with Beyond Mindset Limits. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining Tisha Marie Cain for Beyond Mindset Limits. Tune in every Wednesday at 4 p.m. as the conversation continues around mindset, legal insight, and publishing as a strategic tool for business positioning. Visit TishaMarieCain.com or CainsLegalSupport.com for more information or to schedule your private appointment.